Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thank you for joining me once again today. So Bitcoin's been on a little bit of a rally here recently. It's been kind of nice to have some upward action, to be quite honest with you. Even though we've talked about this being a bear market and all, it does get a little tiring, and even these nice little bounces, such as this bounce over here, now this little bounce over here, just a nice change of pace, I guess. A bit of a pause from the destruction of Bitcoin. And something I want to notice here, I want you guys to notice here between this base and this base is they actually rhyme quite a bit. And for Bitcoin right here, it looks like we may have stopped going up. I don't know if we're going to get much further upside action in Bitcoin here, because what you have here now is a broadening wedge has developed. And for those of you not familiar, a broadening wedge is a pattern where you have a broad open right side of the chart with a narrow left side of the chart. If you think of most consolidations, they tend to do the opposite. Okay, they tend to be broader on the left and narrower on the right. Broadening wedge is the inverse of that, and a broadening wedge indicates selling. It's a distribution pattern, and those usually happen towards tops. They're usually not bottoming consolidations. And what I wanted to mention regarding these two bases, so let's check this out. So we had this sell-off here in Bitcoin coming down from this bear flag. We had the sell-off into a smaller bear flag, another sell-off breaking the prior lows here, and then we had a big throwback back into the pattern, and then we continue to go all the way through the pattern, form this little head and shoulders, then roll over. And here we have much of the same. We have kind of a little bear flag here. We have a sell-off, a consolidation, a sell-off into new lows, and then a throwback into the pattern, then all the way through the pattern. And now we have a kind of a potential head. Here's a potential left shoulder, and we may put in a potential head here over the next day or two. So it could be pretty interesting. You can anticipate maybe, like I said, a shoulder being put in right here. And something else we're also dealing with is this declining wedge pattern here as well. So we're dealing with a few signals right here, and as you can see, there's a couple trend lines that we're fighting. We're fighting this one here, which is the 6,000 low through this low right here. Okay, we broke that pretty nicely. And here's your throwback into that breakdown point right here. All right, and now we have this declining wedge topping or top trend line here, and then past that we have the overall trend line in Bitcoin right here. So let's back out and take a peek at that. All right, so we have this trend line right here. To be honest with you, I anticipate at some point in time we actually get up to this trend line prior to the big breakdown. I could be wrong. That's just a gut feeling I have. That's just a gut feeling I have. Please don't make any trading decisions based off that. I don't think we go up and bounce into it like this. I think more than likely we come over, we have a head and shoulders, we sell off, maybe we bounce again, come up into it, and then roll over. That's just a general feeling I have, though. Don't put too much stock into that. But that's just a general feeling I have there. So let's take a look at some of the other altcoins, see what they're doing. Ethereum, all right. Ethereum's still looking relatively weak. We were talking about this general weak action. We still haven't even broken this prior high. Ethereum just overall weak. Very disappointing. This is very disappointing in Ethereum. It was acting very bullish. Keep in mind, Bitcoin topped out over here December 17th, and Ethereum decided to rise like 90% after that. It was pretty much one of the only altcoins running, outside of, what was it, Cardano, Stellar, and Ripple. Those were running as well. But this was really on its own market. Those three were running in concert with one another, and Ethereum was really doing its own thing here. And then, unfortunately, the selling in Bitcoin became too much for it to handle, and it rolled over, and it's just really suffered. It's almost like it went against the, daddy. We call Bitcoin the big daddy. It's like it went against the big daddy, really got smacked down. Now it just has no self-esteem. Now Ethereum has no self-esteem. It's just living in the doldrums here. Still it's at $401, barely above $400. This is extremely weak action here in Ethereum. I would just stay away from Ethereum. And Litecoin actually showing a little bit of good behavior. I didn't think it was going to bounce as good as that, but look at this nice volume coming into Litecoin here. Let me zoom in. One thing that is not bullish, however, is this most this most peak volume candle is also the biggest selling candle here. So that I'm not too happy about, but we do have the same type of trend line here in Litecoin that we did with Bitcoin, and as you can see, it's basically mirroring. It's just mirroring Bitcoin during the good days, and during the bad times, it's really outperforming Bitcoin to the downside. So I would also stay away from Ethereum, unless you see a pattern like this where you think Bitcoin may see a bounce. I think, Litecoin may see a bounce as well. Unlike Ethereum, which just didn't do anything, just so disappointing in the action here in Ethereum. And a good honorable mention in terms of altcoins, recently LSK has been up. LSK has been having a pretty good run. Not super happy with a lot of the distribution in this particular pattern, but we have seen things like this in the past where they go on to form a little base here and then go on to have a secondary run. So I would wait for LSK to pull back, maybe somewhere in the 50% area, somewhere in the 50% area. So let's do a fib retracement here. I'm sorry, we're going to take it from this point. So right here, we're sitting at about the 38 level. It probably will get down to the 50%. The fact that it's holding above this 50% line, and I really just drew the Fibonacci just to get the half mark. That's really why I drew this Fibonacci ratio. A pullback above this half mark does show bullishness in this chart pattern. If we can stay above this 50% mark with volume getting weaker, then you probably could take a exploratory position in LSK and then wait for it to get above the trend line here at the 14.4 level, and then from there on out, possibly another run in LSK. Another one we've been looking at in the power hour. For those of you not aware, I do a power hour every day from 9 to 10. It is a paid service. It's $50 a month. You can check it out on my website, real-crypto.com. There's a link down in the description. But we talked about this in the power hour. We really don't do too much live trading because it is an hour of mentorship and answering pointed questions and mentorship basically. And we talked about it here. We got involved, right about here, just above this blue line. And Ontology looking pretty good. Really nice volume. Oops, I zoomed out a little too far there. Really nice volume here and here. And if you do zoom out in Ontology, you can see what's actually one of the best chart patterns in the market right now. One of the best chart patterns in the market. You have, the pop-up. You have a nice big cup here, a huge cup with a very nicely formed handle. The volume signature is really good in this. I'm really liking this altcoin. If Bitcoin cannot crater into the depths of the earth, then I think Ontology could be one to keep an eye on for some good moves. I have a trend line drawn here, which is a 56% rise to the upside, which just happens to coincide with this move right here. Now, I don't know. Now, keep in mind, Bitcoin's been bearish, and this run here started right here on March 25th and ran till March 28th. So 3 days of very good action. That's basically a double. Actually, it's over a double in Ontology. And I think that if Bitcoin does stay flat, maybe it does form this kind of head and shoulders that we were talking about, which would take a few days. It could potentially take a few days, so we have a little sell-off, do a shoulder before a rollover again. That may give a coin like Ontology some room to make a run. So the volume looking extraordinarily good here. The price action looking good here. Really one of my most favorite coins right now. Throwing back into the breakdown of this trend line. Looking good for a potential trade, but your stop loss is really wide at this particular point. I think your stop loss now that all of this has played out is probably down here at the 30,000 level. But I still think that's going to give you a very wide stop loss. So 6%, not too bad. Not too bad if you did want to get involved there. So Ontology, one of my most favorite chart patterns here in the moment. Looking really good. Past that, I'm not looking at a whole lot here. Some ADA talk earlier in the power hour. This looking okay, but I would just rather stay away from this. It's not a big accumulation pattern. And if you look at CoinMarketCap, I was looking earlier at just the big breakdown that we've had. Our current market capitalization is under 300 billion, 276 billion. I definitely would anticipate that to stay low really would anticipate that to stay low. The beating that altcoins have taken has just been tremendous. I mean, it's really been a tremendous beating in altcoins. Same with Bitcoin, obviously. Bitcoin's been beaten down as well. And I just don't generally see I don't generally see a path forward for a lot of these altcoins. I think if and when Bitcoin does take its next big drop, which is probably going to be over a 50% lower from where we are here, sitting at 7,300. Keep in mind, my ultimate low in Bitcoin is 3,600 to 2,400. I just want to call it 3,000 for a type of an average there. That's over a 50% drop from where we are now. I think a lot of altcoins are really going to be taken down to the woodshed. And from a market cap perspective, I was anticipating us actually to get up towards 350 before we sold off again, just maybe to kind of wear off some RSI indicators. I know a lot of people use that indicator, but we're not getting that. We're just getting a continued beatdown. And this continued beatdown is, really taking people out of the cryptocurrency space, and I think that's what we're seeing overall. But that does bode well for our ultimate downside action in Bitcoin. The fact that a lot of people are leaving. Some of those people still have coins. The people that are leaving, and they're going to come back when they see the big Bitcoin headlines. Bitcoin down 20% today, and at some point they're just going to ditch their altcoins in disgust, and that's pretty much when the bottom's going to happen. So. But that's then. This is now, and in the short term, I would anticipate potentially another a drop, and then maybe some form of a right shoulder being put in over here before a subsequent drop again. Really similar to this action here. These do rhyme, and I wouldn't anticipate that changing. It doesn't look like it's going to change right now. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. See you guys in the Power Hour tomorrow. Other than that, I will see you next time.